Welcome once again to the Gaming After 40 video podcast. When a game nears release, the development team is occasionally called upon to promote the game with inside information and glowing assessments of their own work. Midway Games did this in a big way back in 1997, mailing this videotape out to Toys R Us customers to promote Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero. Industry critics, unlike me, didn't buy it.
I did a lot of reading on different history, Japanese history, Chinese history.
Actually, the first Mortal Kombat adventure game to be introduced to the
We learn in Mythologies that Sub-Zero is not a ninja, doesn't like being called a ninja, he's a Lin Kuei warrior. And what we are attempting to do in this game is go back to his history and sort of explain and show how he became who he is and how his life sort of led up to the first Mortal Kombat tournament.
IGN said, "This in itself is a pretty good idea. However, the game itself is so flawed as to render all good intentions null and void." And this next guy's name is just funny.
Sub-Zero actually gains experience throughout the game, and he gains certain powers. Regular Mortal Kombat game, you're fighting one-on-one with a different person in one room. Here, you still fight against the computer in one room.
GameRevolution.com said, "The platforms are poorly done, and the fighting doesn't work very well either." Fortunately, Midway has some strategy tips for us.
It's kind of easy to just sort of jump over enemies and blow right through it. When Mortal Kombat players first play this game, they forget almost sometimes that there is an inventory screen there, and the inventory screen can save your life. I'd say the best thing to keep in mind is that when you're running low on health, don't forget that if you have some healers in your inventory, you want to go in there, select them, and make sure that you use them to sort of boost your health back.
Computer and Video Games magazine in the UK said, "It's an unstoppable stream of 2D beatings, with Sub-Zero battering and special moving his way through hundreds of bad people. But you get inexplicably squashed by huge pillars all the time." Rubbish. Then there's the full motion video. Keep in mind that this game came out after the first Mortal Kombat movie was released.
It's like an interactive movie.
But it just looks like a real world.
And now, on to Hollywood.
GameRevolution.com said, "As if the in-game graphics weren't bad enough, the plot sequences are even worse. The pixelated pictures are laughable."
Scorpion was tipped off. He knew I was breaking into that temple, and if he wasn't there, there wouldn't have been a battle.
And then there are the controls, or lack thereof.
Particular game, the controls of the character are identical to what they have been in the previous Mortal Kombat. A lot of fun once you get used to making the jump.
To jump earlier than you think you need to.
Off to get used to the controls.
Best thing to do is jump on the wall and then just very lightly tap to the right. Obviously, you have to learn how to do combos.
IGN said, "The player is required to hold lots of buttons down to do basic things like run and jump, which makes it nigh on impossible to make it across any chasm. Also, to turn left or right, you have to press a shoulder button. The lag time between press and action is very long, and by the time you've turned to face your opponent, he's already jumped back over your head." Now let's talk game design.
You could go off on a tangent and, just explore something. Maybe that you think might do something, but it may not.
The Wind World, which is the second level in the whole game, is probably one of the hardest.
Later on, when you're at the end of the game, you might need something that was, hanging around 3 worlds back. It's a very privileged thing to find these missing things.
IGN said, "The game is just no fun." GameRevolution.com said, "I would rather retar my roof than have to play this game for very long." Even in-house at Midway, not everyone was drinking the Sub-Zero Kool-Aid.
What's the best game you've ever played?
Epic fail.
You didn't hear that. What's the best game you ever played?
Sub-Zero.
There you go. There's so many different characters, and there's so many different stories and twists. They all sort of have their own mythologies that we could dip into and explore a little bit more.
Fortunately, Sub-Zero's poor commercial and critical reception helped ensure that didn't happen. Dev 0, critics 1.
That was stupid.
Thanks for tuning in to the Gaming After 40 video podcast. Your eyeballs are appreciated. Please check out our blog at www.gamingafter40.com and vote for us on iTunes.